Ancient Rome, the beating heart of one of the most powerful empires the world has ever known. But what made the Roman army unstoppable? It wasn't just the sheer numbers or advanced tactics, it was the incredible elite soldiers who stood out from the rest. The ones whose skills, bravery, and loyalty defined the Roman military legacy. When we think of the Roman army, we picture disciplined soldiers in shining armor, ready to crush their enemies. And while that image is true to an extent, it's also a huge understatement. Rome's military wasn't just a fighting force, it was a machine that relied on specialized soldiers with extraordinary skills. You see, the Roman army was more than just soldiers, it was a society of warriors, each with a distinct purpose. And when we talk about elite Roman soldiers, we're not just talking about the toughest men in the empire. These were soldiers who excelled in their specific areas of expertise. They didn't just fight, they specialized. Some were feared for their brute strength and skill with a sword, others for their ability to strike from a distance, and some even for their stealth and strategy in the shadows. So today, we're going to dive into the world of Rome's most elite warriors, those who stood out from the ranks and shaped the course of Roman history. Let's start with the gladiators. Gladiators, those men who fought for honor, for freedom, and often for their very survival. They were the embodiment of strength, courage, and resilience in the face of overwhelming odds. But contrary to popular belief, gladiators weren't just slaves thrown into an arena to fight for sport. They were elite warriors, trained to kill with precision and skill. Their training was rigorous, their discipline unmatched. Picture this, you're a gladiator in the arena. A massive, brutal Colosseum filled with roaring crowds. The air is thick with tension and the smell of sweat and blood. You're armed with a sword, and the enemy is charging at you. The crowd's roar is deafening, but you must focus. You have to think fast. Will you use your weapon to block and counter, or is this the moment for a risky attack? Every decision could be your last. The difference between life and death comes down to strategy, a skill that elite gladiators mastered. They were not just brawlers, they were tacticians, and they didn't just fight in random bouts. Each match was a carefully orchestrated event. Gladiators were trained like professional athletes. Their regimen included not just combat skills but also physical conditioning and mental preparation. They fought strategically with intense discipline, honing their skills through grueling training. Every move was practiced, every tactic refined. Some were so famous for their skill in the arena that they became celebrities. Worshipped by the public and feared by their enemies, their names echoed through history. Take Spartacus, for example, a gladiator turned rebel. His story is legendary. After gaining fame in the arena, Spartacus led one of the most significant slave uprisings in Roman history. His defiance shook the empire to its core. His tactical brilliance and charisma made him a formidable force, showing just how elite these warriors were. They were not just fighters, they were leaders. Spartacus and his rebellion are a testament to the power of gladiators, whose skills could inspire massive movements and even threaten the stability of the Roman Empire. These men were more than just entertainers. They were symbols of resistance and strength, capable of changing the course of history. Next, let's talk about the auxiliaries. These were non-citizen soldiers who served in the Roman army, but don't let their status fool you. These guys were elite in their own right. They were often recruited from the provinces and brought a wealth of local knowledge and unique fighting styles. The Roman legions are famous for their discipline and heavy infantry. These soldiers were the backbone of the Roman military might, but it was the auxiliaries, the supporting forces, who brought specialized skills to the battlefield. They were the versatile units that could adapt to various combat scenarios. Think of them like the special forces of the ancient world, each from different corners of the empire, each bringing something unique to the table. Their diversity was their strength. From archers in Syria to cavalry from the steppes of Central Asia, the auxiliaries filled a crucial role. They provided the Roman army with capabilities that the legions alone could not offer. They weren't just fighters, they were experts in their respective fields. Their specialized training made them invaluable on the battlefield. The equites, Roman cavalry units, were often made up of skilled riders from places like Gaul, Spain, and North Africa. These regions were known for their exceptional horsemen. They were the eyes and ears of the army, scouting ahead, harassing enemy flanks, and providing lightning-fast strikes. Their mobility and speed were unmatched, Imagine being a Roman general facing an enemy that could move at the speed of cavalry. Suddenly, you're surrounded, and your enemy is in retreat before you even realize what's happening. The element of surprise was always on their side. In fact, the Roman cavalry was often the deciding factor in battles. Their ability to quickly change the tide of combat was legendary. They could flank an enemy's infantry, hit them where they were weakest, and force a rout. Their strategic importance cannot be overstated. The Roman cavalry was fast, deadly, and highly trained. Their rigorous training regimes ensured they were always battle-ready. So the next time you think of Roman soldiers, remember, these weren't just infantry. They were a cohesive force, with each group bringing unique skills to make the Roman army a well-oiled machine. Their combined efforts made Rome a formidable power. Now let's talk about one of the most powerful and feared groups in ancient Rome, the Praetorian Guard. This elite unit was established to serve as the personal bodyguards of the Roman emperors, ensuring their safety and maintaining their rule. These weren't just any soldiers, they were the emperor's personal bodyguards, hand-picked for their loyalty and skill. But they were also the elite of the elite, the ultimate soldiers, with unparalleled power and influence within the empire. Their presence was a symbol of the emperor's strength and authority. The Praetorian Guard wasn't just tasked with keeping the emperor safe, they were also responsible for the stability of the entire empire. Their duties extended beyond mere protection to include intelligence gathering and political enforcement. Imagine being the emperor of Rome and knowing that your personal bodyguard had the power to decide whether you lived or died. The Praetorian Guard held immense sway over the political landscape, but their loyalty wasn't guaranteed. Their allegiance could shift, influenced by power struggles and political intrigue. In fact, the Praetorian Guard played a pivotal role in some of the most dramatic moments in Roman history, like the assassination of Emperor Caligula. Their actions could change the course of history. Caligula's reign was infamous for its cruelty, and in the end, it was his own guards who turned on him. This betrayal highlighted the precarious nature of the emperor's power. The irony? They were supposed to protect him, but in the end, their loyalty was to the empire, not the emperor himself. Their primary concern was the stability and continuity of Rome. This relationship between the emperor and his guards was a complicated dance of trust, betrayal, and ultimately, power. The Praetorian Guard's influence was a double-edged sword, shaping the fate of emperors and the empire alike. Not all elite soldiers wielded swords or rode horses. Some, like the archers and slingers, were deadly from a distance. Roman archers were trained to be highly accurate, firing in coordinated volleys that could devastate enemy lines from hundreds of yards away. Their ability to shoot with precision made them indispensable on the battlefield. And then, there were the slingers. Often overlooked, these soldiers were incredibly effective at knocking down enemies from afar with their stone slings, a weapon that required exceptional skill and speed to use. When these slingers were used in unison, they could create a barrage of stones that rattled the enemy and broke their lines, allowing Roman soldiers to close in for the kill. And of course, we can't forget about the legionaries, the backbone of the Roman army. The legions were the primary fighting force in the Roman army, made up of heavily armed soldiers known for their discipline and cohesion. Every legionary was trained to fight not as an individual but as part of a team. Roman soldiers fought in formations like the testudo or tortoise formation, which provided nearly impenetrable defense against arrows and missiles. The gladius, their short sword, was the perfect weapon for close-quarter combat, allowing them to strike with precision and power in confined spaces. When legions charged, they did so as a single, unstoppable unit. From gladiators in the arena to the deadly archers on the battlefield, Rome's elite soldiers were what made the Roman Empire unstoppable. Their skills, loyalty, and bravery shaped the course of history, leaving a legacy that continues to inspire us today. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this journey through the elite soldiers of ancient Rome, don't forget to like, subscribe, and drop a comment below. Which Roman soldier do you think was the most remarkable? Let me know. Until next time, keep exploring history.